never did it, I'll take that. All right. Mashkiach has spoken. We're ready to start the daf.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Do you really mean that?
Don't regret saying that. Where's everybody tonight? Something going on that I should know about?
We certainly don't know about it.
I guess not. We're just out of the loop. Yeah.
I think everybody's at the Met game.
Think so?
There was a rain delay there for an hour.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, in City Field.
Yeah. Okay.
All I can say is last night they ran out of the onions and the the peppers and onions.
You should get a refund, Peretz. Okay, what are we on? What's today? Today's Lamed Dalet, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so where
By
do
the
we
way,
go? So we gotta-
Yaakov, what you said yesterday on the daf about not having an end to when you have something, you're talking about the malchus or whatever punishment.
Yeah, I didn't say it. The Gemara said it.
Right, but I'm saying that's what Rabbi Peretz spoke about on Tisha B'Av.
Oh, did he?
He said lahalacha, you're not allowed to hire an eved just to work for you. You have to give him a job where he knows that there's an end. I don't know what he based it on. Could be, I don't know. I don't remember.
The Rashi?
Yeah.
To Rashi?
Yeah, it'll come to me in a minute. You can't just give him work just to keep him working, to do nothing. Has to let him know. It'll come to me. The grandmas will come to me. Yeah.
You'll have to daven a Shemana Esrei, it'll come to you.
Yeah.
He was saying the gullus, even though there's a certain Gemaras that tell us we know when it's going to end, but we don't know when it's going to end, but we know that there is an end, so therefore it's
more palpable, it's more, you can deal with
something like that.
Interesting. I hear. Okay, so let's see. So we just finished, we got up to the top line, second line from the top. Oh, Naftali's here, we could start. So
Sorry.
So we said like this. We said that we had a Machlokes, Rameir and the Chachamim, whether you could be chayiv twice. Right? So Rameir held that you could. Rameir held you could give two punishments. So then we ended up saying, okay, so the Chachamim, what was the case again? Right. So it was a case where a guy steals an animal. So a lamb or a sheep, if he steals it in Shechting, he has to pay 4 times the price of the sheep. If he does a cow, then he has to do 5 times the sheep. So what happens if a guy steals it on Shabbos? So does he have to pay the knas or not? So that's a machlokes because he stole on Shabbos and he shechted it on Shabbos. Or if he stole it before Shabbos, he didn't shecht it on Shabbos. So it's a machlokes Rameir of Chachamim. So we said that according to Rameir, if somebody else shechted it, he stole it, somebody else shechted it. So he has to pay the 4 and the 5, but he's not going to be chayiv misa, and that's why each one of them pays. That's why they each have. He pays the knas. The guy that stole it pays the knas. The guy that shechted is chayiv misa. Okay, so if that's the case, so why do the Chachamim disagree? Right, one guy shechted it, the other guy stole it. So why shouldn't he have to pay the knas according to the Chachamim? There's no kamli b'derabanan. 2 different people did it. So Gemara says man Chachamim. That's the top line. Now Reb Shimon, the Chachamim is really Reb Shimon, who says a chiddush. The Amar schita she'einu ruya lo yishma schita. If you have a schita that's not roy, so then meaning if that schita is not roy to be eaten, then it's as if it wasn't shechted. Meaning, even though be'etzem the animal is kosher, and you shechted it properly, but if you can't eat that schita, then memela it's not considered a proper schita, and therefore you don't have to pay 4 or 5. Now he says it by the din of Isay Vespenoi. Right? There's a din that you're not allowed to shecht a mother and a child on the same day, not humans, animals. Right? So, but what happens if one of the shitas was a shita that you can't eat? So then memela, not because of trade, just you can't eat it, which we'll see in a minute what some examples are. So then that's not considered a shita, and you would be patur. So Gemara goes through the cases. So we understand avoda Zara and shara niskal, meaning if he's shechted for avoda Zara, so then he's chayav misa, right? And he has to pay 4 and 5. The shara niskal is a shara that gets skila.
Right now, Junior Division, night canteen right now, and your curfew is 9:30. Junior Division, night canteen right now, and your curfew is 9:30. Intermediate division, and all of intermediate division, to assur primary. Intermediate division, assur right now.
Okay, the shara niskal, and a shara that's chayav skila, so that's also not edible. Since it's chayav skila, it's also to have it. So we understand there why you'd be chayav a knas also, because all of those are not edible. A schita Shabbos, schita ruyei, but if you shecht an animal on Shabbos, there's nothing wrong with that schita. The Tanana shecht b'Shabbos or Yom Kippur. If somebody shechts on Shabbos or on Yom Kippur, apal pisha mischayev b'nafshay, even though he's mechayev with his nefesh, schita sekshera. The schita is still kosher. So how come the fellow who shechted on Shabbos will have to pay the knas? The schita, I'm saying won't have to pay the knas. The schita is a good schita, right? So Savalakar of Yochanan Asanber. So this is a major Machlokes. So he holds like Rabbi Yochanan Asanber, the Tanya. We have a 3-way Machlokes what to do if somebody does a Ma'aseh Shabbos. Yeah, the Tanya Mavashal b'Shabbos. Somebody who cooks on Shabbos, a b'shoigeg yoichel. The shoigeg he eats, meaning if somebody cooks on Shabbos by mistake, he hit the button on the machine and it went on and it cooked him. So he did it b'shoigeg, he's allowed to eat it. Amazing, but if he did it on purpose, by yoichel he's not allowed to eat it, right? Divrei Rameir, that's Shitas Rameir. Rabbi Yehuda, remember, Rabbi Yehuda says b'shoigeg yoichel l'matzeh Shabbos. He's a little bit more strict. If you cooked something by mistake on Shabbos, you're allowed to eat it on Matzah Shabbos. But you're not allowed to eat it on Shabbos. The Mazid, if you did it on purpose, you're never allowed to eat it. You have to throw the food out. Well, you don't have to throw the food out. You can really sell it. He's the most chomer. If you cook b'shoigeg on Motzei Shabbos, you're allowed to give the food to other people. But you yourself are never allowed to have it. B'mezid, if you cook b'mezid, you're not allowed to eat it forever. Nobody's ever allowed to have it. Okay? So Memela, we're going according to Rabbi Yochanan Sandler that if a guy shechted on Shabbos, so that schita is no good. Nobody's allowed to eat it. So since nobody's allowed to eat it, that's not considered a good schita. Memela, you're not going to be chayiv dalet v'hei because of that. Right? So, okay, so let's stop for a second. So this 3-way Machlokes, how do we paskin? Lamaisa we paskin, Shulchan Aruch paskins like Rabbi Yehuda. And this comes up a lot when you have non-frum people that come over to your house and they by mistake do something. Or they drive to your house, they show up to your house on Shabbos and they bring you a bottle of wine. And they showed up and then they sealed bottle of wine, obviously. And now what do you do with it? So anyway, so the Mishnah Brura brings the schita of the Gra, who actually paskins like Reb Meir. The Shulchan Aruch paskins like Yehuda, but the Gra says you could paskin like Reb Meir, and the Mishnah Brura says b'shas atak you could paskin like Reb Meir. So b'shoigeg, and if a guy doesn't know the halacha, so then he's considered a shoigeg, you'd be able to eat it. Amazed. If he did it b'mezid, somebody else can't eat it, but other people could eat it. The only question is if he does it on behalf of somebody. So that's already a little bit more complicated. If he does it on your behalf, is that considered for you or is it not considered for you? Okay, but that is a major thing. The Mishura does bring a prima gadon that says if somebody cooks or does something on Shabbos that there's a Machlokes apaiskim, then you could be mekel. That you could be mekel to use it, because it's a Machlokes. Okay. Either way, so that's what we're saying. So we're going according to Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, so that you're not going to be chayav talivei. Okay, my time to Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. Why does Rabbi Yochanan Sandler? Why is he so strict? Right? Because the Darash of Pia Pischa de Bein Nesia, Pia Darshan that the door of the Bein Nesia Shmartem as a Shabbos ki Kodesh Ilachem. It says watch the Shabbos because it's Kodesh. Now we're going to compare Hektish to Shabbos. Ma Kodesh also b'achila. So just like Hektish is also to eat. Af Ma'aser Shabbos assur b'achila. So Ma'aser Shabbos also to eat. Ima Kodesh also b'hana. So you're going to say Kodesh is also b'hana. Af Ma'aser Shabbos also b'hana. So Ma'aser Shabbos also b'hana. That it should be yours. Yachol, meaning it's yours to benefit from it. Yachol afilu b'shoigig. So you would think that even if you did it b'shoigig, those that are mechal Shabbos have to die. B'mezid amarti loch v'loy b'shoigig. Only b'mezid, but not b'shoigig. So therefore, if you do it b'mezid, you're never allowed to have it. Nobody's allowed to have it, right? Because it's like hektish. But it was done b'shoigig, then somebody else is allowed to have it. How does it go? B'shoigig. Others could have it after Shabbos, but the person who did it b'shoigig can never have it after Shabbos.
It's the exact opposite of Hegdish. It has the same result, but it's the exact opposite of Hegdish.
What do you mean?
Hegdish is Kaddish. Just somebody did an Aveira with it.
Oh, you mean you're saying it's the opposite of what's that? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's the same. Well, it's not exactly the same because we're saying hektish you can't even benefit from, but Shabbos you could, right? It's not saying exactly the same. Shabbos you're allowed, meaning let's say somebody cooked by mistake on Shabbos. So we're saying here, even according to Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, you are allowed to sell it. Right? You could say hektish you can't sell. This you could sell. Right? Anyway,
Yeah, but
okay,
I'm saying it's for opposite reasons. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. One is
all.
hektish and one is the opposite of hektish. Right? It's interesting. It's an interesting point. Okay, weiter. Pligi ba Rav Acha v'Ravina. So in the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, so meaning this that you're not allowed to benefit from Ma'aser Shabbos, is that an assur deraisa or an assur derabanan? So pligi ba Rav Acha v'Ravina. Rav Acha v'Ravina have a Machlokes. Schita on Ma'aser Shabbos deraisa. The Ma'aser Shabbos is also from the Torah. Derabanan, one says it's derabanan, right? Like Zara derabanan. The one that says it's deraisa is like we said, memela, since you're not allowed to eat it, it's a deraisa, so therefore the schita is not considered a schita, and therefore he doesn't have to pay daled v'hei. The one who says derabanan, Omar Kra, it says kodesh he kodesh ve'ein maseh kodesh. It's kodesh, but its maseh are not kodesh, right? So memela, that's why he's saying that it's not a deraisa. With deraisa, the food's going to be okay. So what's the kasha? Okay, so it's not. If deraisa, the food is okay, that means mid deraisa the schita is a proper schita. In which case, the guy that stole the animal should have to pay daled v'hei. Well, the mandam of the Rabanan, my tamad the Rabanan the patri. 1 second. The mandam of the Rabanan. Why the Rabanan says patur? The schita mit deraisa is good schita. So the Gemara answers, Kika Patri Rabanan, Kika Patri Rabanan. When the Rabanan say the guy is patur from daled v'hei, we're saying yes, that's true. It's only going on the avoda Zara if he shechts it for avoda Zara, or he shechts assur on this call. But enochanami, on the case where he shechts it on Shabbos, the Rabbana would say he is chayiv. He is chayiv daled v'hei. Yeah, go ahead.
The Gemara says that the manda amad deraisa is kiddah mara. What's the kiddah mara? Shmartem es Shabbos ki kodesh hilachem.
No, kiddah maran. Yeah, I mean Shabbos he ushmartem es Shabbos. What was the pasuk of brought?
Shmartem es Shabbos.
Yeah.
This is a machlokes in Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, or according to all three.
I thought Rashi had said this is a machlokes in Rabbi Yochanan Sandler. Did he? I can't find the Rashi. Let's see. No, I don't know. I thought it was initially. I thought it was on all three. I mean, how do you know Ma'aser Shabbos? But Rabbi Yochanan Hassan is the one that's the most machmer on the Ma'aser Shabbos, that you can't eat it at all. So the other two are saying that you could have it in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of who could have it, right? Okay, fine. So Taveh Lo is Kachavim. So now the Gemara goes back to the case again. A guy steals an animal, shechts the animal for avodah Zara. So he's chayiv misa, right? So therefore he's patur from paying the knas. So Taveh Lo is Kachavim. Now it gets technical.
What?
Yeah.
He stole the animal Tuesday morning, and he used it for avodah Zara Tuesday night. So what does one thing have to do with the other?
No, because we're saying that it's not a kosher schita.
But he's chayiv when he stole it.
No, but he's chayiv, not dalit behei.
No, so the schita is just telling you what he's chayiv, but he stole it. He's chayiv now when he stole it.
Right? No, you're right.
The schita is later,
when he steals it, he's chayiv to pay it back, the animal. But
Right.
when he shechts
pay
it,
it back. Yeah.
when he shechts it, he has to pay an extra four.
Okay,
fold of
fine.
five. No, so that's
Then
what we're
comes
talking
on
about.
to
We're talking about
Tanakh.
that's only chal when he shechts it.
Okay.
So now when he shechts it, he's chayiv misa, because he's shechting for avodah Zara. Meaning, yes, you're right. The base.
He still owes
he's
the
gonna have to pay
guy
back.
$100 from the stealing.
100%. You're 100%
Okay,
right.
fine,
We should have
that's
pointed
all.
that out. That's a very
That's
important point. Yeah. That's a very
I just
important
thought
point.
of it now. I didn't.
Yeah, that's a very. I forgot. I saw somebody says that today. Somebody says it. It's a very important point to make. The initial payback he has to give, right? It's only the 4 or the 5 that he's patur from, right? He stole the guy's animal. If he didn't shecht it, he has to pay it back. We're talking about when he shechts it, he has to pay. What are you saying?
Chayiv, as soon as the initial payback is chayiv, as soon as the guy steals it.
Correct.
And then when he does the other ma'aser of shechting it, that's when the other stuff comes into
Correct.
play.
So that's what we're saying. Exactly. 100%. That's what we're saying. So the 3, well, it's going to actually be, it's not going to be 4 or 5. It's really 3 and 4, because the base pay he has to pay.
Okay.
Right. So, when is he chayiv to pay that extra? Right. When he shechts it. The second he shechts it, he's chayiv misa. Right. That's a Gemara's kasha. Even the shachar beporta, once he shechts a little bit of the windpipe and the esophagus, it becomes assur. Idach kika tovach. And when he shechts the rest of the simonim, lav demarika tovach, he's no longer shechting it, right? Because it already became assur because of avodah Zara, right?
Is this kasha even according to the man Amma yesh l'shchita mitchila vad soif?
I don't know. Or not, right? I don't know. I hear. But anyway, so the kasha again is the second he shechts it to avodah Zara, the second he makes a cut, that's it. It's game over. It's avodah Zara. Now it becomes assur to everybody b'hana. When he shechts the rest of it, that's when he's chayav 4 or 5. So it no longer belongs to the owner. So Marava ba'aymer begemar zvicha hu, he's a lamdan. This guy's a lamdan. He knows he's going to be chayav misa, and he wants to be patur on the dalet v'hei. So what does he do? He says that at the end of the schita is when it's going to become avodah Zara. So then it comes at the same time. Fine.
If the guy shechts it for avodah Zara, does he have to pay dalet v'hei? Because no one's really getting pleasure out of it.
Right. That's what we're saying. That well, at least Reb Shimon holds. Reb Shimon Taka holds you don't, because you're not allowed to. It's not a kosher schita.
So it's not called the schita. Okay.
That schita is Reb Shimon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Fine.
So Omar, I'm sorry. Shora Nisko. So the Gemara continues and says Shora Nisko, right? A shora that has skila lavdi dehu tukatavach, right? That's not his, right? He didn't shecht his. So Maraba, meaning because once it's a shora niskol, it's also bahana. It doesn't belong to anybody. So Maraba, what happened was that he gave over this ox to a shomer to be watched. The hizik bebei shomer, and in the shomer's house it damaged. Benigmar dine bebei shomer, and Bezdin already passed it when it was still in the shomer's house. Bezdin already passed it. Beganvu ganu bebei shomer, and then somebody stole it from the shomer's house. So this guy was a real winner of a ganav. He stole a shoranisko, right? Rameir holds like Rabbi Yaakov, and he
Well,
holds
maybe he
like
had a hit,
What?
Maybe he took a contract on somebody. That's
Maybe.
the best card to get.
I guess, but he didn't pick a very good animal, right? So Savar look at Rabbi Yaakov, see like Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Yaakov held that even if when he was by the shomer and Bezdin paskin on this animal that it's going to die, then Hechziru Shomer L'Ba'al Muchser, if he gives it back, he gives it back. Because he said, listen, you gave me an animal to watch. Your animal went crazy, started goring other people or animals. Fine, here it's back. I'm patur. So that he held that you could do that. So that means that it does really, the animal really is part of the owner. He held that something that causes money, something that could cause money, is considered money. So even though this animal is not worth anything, right? It's still worth something to the guy because he would need a new animal. Meaning he gave an animal to the shomer. A week later, he comes back. The shomer says, "Here's your animal back. By the way, it killed somebody, and Bezdin paskin that it's dead, and they're gonna come get this animal from you and gonna kill it." Right? So we're saying, so the Gemara is saying that he's allowed to, that Rameir holds like Rabbi Yaakov or Rabbi Shimon, that it's still a grama of money. Because at the end of the day, he could give back, if you go like Rabbi Yaakov, he could give back the animal to the owner and then be patur. The Shem is patur. He said, I took an animal from you, I give you back an animal. And also something that could cause somebody to have money is like money. Right? So here, since it's going to cost him another animal, so therefore there is something in it for this owner, as small as it is, but there is something in it. So since there's something in it, he's going to have to pay daled behei. Fine. Okay, so that's how we end up answering that. Rabba Amar. So now Rabba's trying to explain why Rameir holds that he's chayav misa, and he also has to pay daled behei. Rabba Amar lo'olam b'teveach al yidei atzmai. Right, again, the first teretz we said is somewhere where somebody else shechted it. So that's why Rameir held that he's chayav daled behei. Because one guy is chayav the misa for the Shabbos, or the avoda Zara, or the shora nisko. And the other guy is chayav daled behei. Rabba says no. We're talking about where the guy who stole the animal, he shechted it. On Talmud Beis now. Rameir loiko mashalim isle. Rameir holds that you can do two punishments of malchus and payments. Meisu mashalim leslie, but if somebody's going to be chayav misa, to make a guy chayav misa pay something, that Rameir doesn't hold of. The shan, okay, so then if that's the case, so this guy in these cases, the guy's chayav misa. So why is he paying 4 and 5? Shani hani the chidushu shechitcha Torah b'knas. It's a chidush by knas. Afagav the mikdal mashalim. Even though he's getting killed, right? It's still gonna pay. He's still gonna have to pay a knas, right? So meaning now we're saying Rameir holds you can get malchus. He could get malchus and misa.
No, you can get malchus and pay.
I'm sorry, he could get malchus and mammon, right? But he cannot get mammon and misa. But in this case, by knas, he could get mammon and misa, right? Because knas is a chiddush. That's the way Rabbah explains Rameir. What's the Rabbah l'tamei? And Rabbah goes.
Is Rabbah arguing with himself here? He was the first one.
What?
The Gemara asks L'Shara Niska Lavdi Dehu the Ketavach, Amar Rabbah, and then Rabbah Amar.
Yeah. What are you saying?
We're still dealing with Shara Niska, right?
Which I think we're dealing with all three.
So the kasha the Gemara asks Asher and Iskal. Then Rabbah answered it, and right after Rabbah's answer, it says Rabbah Amar.
What are you talking about? Okay, Rabbah Omar. Yeah.
Asher and Iskal. If you go back to Asher and Iskal Avdi David, that was the original kasha we're answering.
Correct.
Followed by Amar Rabbah Hachamay Askim.
Okay, why can't he be explaining it?
When the first word of the second one is La'olam. He's going back on himself.
I don't know. Why can't Rabbah be explaining somebody else's pshat and then do his own?
It says here he's giving another explanation for Rab Meir's ruling in the Brisa.
So it's a new Gemara, really. It's not going back.
It's a new Gemara. It's a new Gemara. It's still talking about Shara Niskal.
It's going on all of them, not just on Shara Niskal.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, Vaz the Rabbah L'tamei, and Rabbah goes according to his reasoning. Dama Rabbah Hayigadi Ganav Loy. If a guy has a gedi that he stole, the Tavchay b'Shabbos, meaning he stole it before Shabbos, and then he shechted it on Shabbos. He's chayiv shekvar neschayev b'geneva kodim sheyavel l'day Yisur Shabbos. He's obviously chayiv on both because he was chayiv on the geneva before he comes to the Yisur Shabbos. Ganav v'tavach b'Shabbos, but if he stole it and he shechted it on Shabbos, patur. Then he's patur. Why? Shemein geneva ain't tvicha ve'ain mechira. Because if you're not chayiv for the geneva, then you're not chayiv for the schita either. Right? But how is he stealing it? He obviously has to steal it the same way we had it 2 days ago, where he pulls it out of the reshus. It has to be haitzah, right? So it has to be haitzah. That's the So again, you're saying the two classic cases. If he steals it during the week, shechts it on Shabbos, he's going to be chayiv both because the surim happen at different times. If he steals it and shechts it on Shabbos, then he's going to be patur. Fine. Then another case. If he had a goat that he had stolen and then he shechted it in machteres. Now machteres is a major sugya bombe machteres. If a guy, there's a din that if a guy's coming through and digging a hole to get into your property, you're allowed to just kill him without warning. So if a guy has a goat that he stole and he has it down in the machteres, so since he's allowed to be killed, so we're saying that even though he's chayav misa, since he stole it first and then went into the machteres, so he's chayav to pay the knas and he's chayav misa, right? Shekvar neschayav b'geneva kadem sheyavel l'day Yisur machteres, because he was chayav in the geneva before he had the issur of being in the tunnels. But let's say he stole and he shechted it in the machteres, then patur shemein geneva ain't tvicha ve'ain mechira, because if there's no geneva, right? If there's no geneva, because he's chayav misa, then there's no 4 and 5 for schita and mechira.
So any jihad yamach shemainis, any jihad yamach shemainis that Eretz Yisrael killed in the tunnel, they're dead. Okay, good.
Boba Machteres is chayiv misa, or you can't kill him. The owner of the house can't kill him, or is he chayiv misa? I think there's a difference.
Oh, he's walking dead.
He's walking dead. If that's chayiv misa sounds like
The Bakatala, he can be.
You don't have to kill him. If the balabos, if the owner of the house kills him, he's patur. This doesn't mean that the guy's chayiv misa, the thief. That's what I'm asking. I'm just trying to see. I mean, I'm looking if there's a difference here.
I hear.
Anybody?
I was struggling with the same issue. The pasuk by Machteres says "Ein loy damen." That's the lashon. Doesn't say
Okay,
chayiv
but
anything.
that doesn't mean that it doesn't say chayiv, right?
No, it's not
If
chayiv.
someone kills it. No, not chayiv.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
If it's a father and
If the
son,
parents-
sometimes it's assur.
Oh, then it's assur, because you know that the father's
Right.
not going to kill the son. Yeah.
I hear. Well, okay, but the bottom line is though if he, okay, I mean, what happened? What do you say? The guy got the goat. The guy had a goat or a sheep hanging out in his tunnel. Is that what would happen here?
No, then there wouldn't be a kinyan. The guy took it from his house into the tunnel. That was the kinyan, no? So the gneva happens in the machteres. And then he shechts it 3 minutes later.
No, because then that happened. The gneva happened first.
Gneva always happens before the tvicha.
No, but that's not. You mean he stole it first, and the tvicha happens in. Right.
They both happen in the machteres. They both happen in the same machteres. Doesn't have to be instantaneous.
Yeah, okay, and I hear what you're saying. But either way, okay, so that's what the Gemara is saying. So that's Rabbah going according to his reasoning with the same thing. So the Gemara, now why do you need two cases? Seemingly both of these cases are the same thing. Shabbos is the same as Machteres. So B'trichen you need it. Iyashmin and Shabbos, Shem Disura is Isser Olam. So Shabbos is an Isser forever. Abo Machteres the Isser Shahu. Machteres is he's only Chayav Misa, meaning if a guy's Chayav Misa for Shabbos, he's Chayav Misa finished. Right? I guess if you do tshuva like we just learned in the Orchot Tzadikim, then maybe not. But I'm saying, but Lamaisa, that Isser is there forever. Machteres, as soon as the guy leaves the Machteres, he's no longer Chayav Misa. So as soon as the guy gets out of the tunnel, right, he's out. Al Machteres the Isser Shahu, Aim Alois. I would say maybe there we're not going to say Kong Levi derabanan. Because the Machteres is the Hasra. Avo Shabbos, the boy Hasra, but Shabbos that needs Hasra, meaning Machteres doesn't need Hasra. You just blow the guy's brains out. You find him in your house. By the way, Machteres does not necessarily have to mean a tunnel, right? It means you find the guy in your house. I think so. I think that we say that if you find the guy in your house.
What's have to be a tunnel?
What? Saying lots of tunnel.
Yeah, what's have to be a tunnel?
Yeah, yeah.
It has to be that he came secretly. It's different than regular gneva.
Why he climbs
well, he's
into
not
the
walking
window
through the door with a gun. I'm saying there for sure.
That's the same as Machteres. If he's coming in a way that seemingly looks like he's going to kill the person who lives there, that would be the same as Machteres. Stama Geneva, they're not likely to kill.
I hear. Okay, so maybe I don't know. I don't know exactly where you draw the line with Machteres or not. Either way, so Shabbos the boy Asra. Anyway, so Machteres, you don't give a warning; you just shoot him, right? There's no Hasra.
That's the lashon of Zuhi Hasrasi. I thought the fact that he's doing it in this way, that he's sneaking in such a way that whatever, he knows how wrong it is. He doesn't need Hasra. The fact that he's coming this way is its Hasra.
Oh, God.
You could shoot to kill as opposed to shoot to wound. Like by a roidif. The Bubba Machteres, you could shoot to kill. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we know
As
that.
opposed
We
to
know
a roidif,
that.
as opposed to
We
as
know
opposed to a
that.
roidif where you only shoot to wound first.
Okay, and so right, but that I think I don't know.
Carry is welcome here.
Yeah.
What? What'd you say, parents?
Concealed carry is welcome on these premises, the new law.
Yeah. Anyway, so Aval Shabbos the boy Hasra, but Shabbos needs Hasra, aim aloi, maybe not. So tzricha. So therefore, that's why you needed to say two similar cases. Tamara Papa. Haisapara Gnuvaloi. If you had a para, right, and it was stolen, the Tavcha b'Shabbos, and he shechted it on Shabbos, Chayiv. Right? I mean, he stole, not he didn't have it stolen, he stole it. It's an interesting lashon. Haisapara Gnuvaloi. Right? It was a stolen cow to him. Right? I mean, he stole the cow. I don't know why he used a lashon like that. Right?
Because he didn't steal it now.
What?
He didn't steal it now. Now we don't care about the stealing.
I mean, it's already stolen. That's a done story.
Yeah, we care about what's happening now. Next.
He's on to the next assur.
That's what I'm saying. We only care about what's happening next.
I hear. So he already had a para genuva finished. Then he went and shechted it on Shabbos. So he's chayiv. Shekvar neschayiv begeneva. Kadam sheyavli day is Shabbos. Right? Seemingly the same exact case. It's a para she'ula, but if he had a para that was lent to him, the tovcha b'Shabbos, and he shechted it on Shabbos, so now he did the geneva and the schita and the chil Shabbos all at once, then he's patur. Right? So now the Gemara says, what are you teaching us here? We just learned this by a goat. Now you're telling us the same din, except by a para. Like, well, what do we have to go through every type of animal? It's the same din. So Papa told him back, Shula, no, my chiddush when he borrowed it. Because you would think, since Papa said, now is he talking in third person here? This is your type of kasha, Gershon. Yeah. It sounds like Rav Ashi is asking straight to Rav Papa. So Rav Papa told him, Parashulas, I'm coming to talk about a borrowed para. Since Rav Papa said,
no, Rav Ashi's saying it. He asked Rav Ashi. So Amar Lei, Rav Papa,
yeah. No, you're right. Correct. Yes. I made a mistake when I read it. Yes. Amar Lei Kama, not Amar Lei Rav Papa. Right? That's why you didn't have the kasha, Gersh. I said it's your type of kasha. You didn't have the kasha because you had it right.
For a second I did, but I saw parents getting antsy. I wasn't going to ask it.
Yeah. So Amar Lei Kama, Rav Papa Shulas Ashmina. He's coming to teach us by a borrowed animal. Since Rav Papa said Bishas Mashicha, this chayav lebe mezayneseh, right? When he pulls the animal, that's when he's chayav to feed it. Achanami, here too, Bishas Sheila is chayav ba'ainseh, right? When he borrows it, he's chayav in the einsin, and therefore that happens before the schita. Kamash Malan, that it happens at the same time, right? So therefore, when he shechts it on Shabbos, he's going to be patur. Fine. Amar Rava, let's say the father, he died and he left them a para that he had borrowed. So what do the kids do with it? Let's say it was a year loan, and after 6 months the father died. So for the other 6 months, they're allowed to have it. Mesa, and if it dies, they're not chayiv in the einsim. Why? Because they're not. It's an interesting din. They're allowed to use the animal, but they're not chayiv in einsim because their father borrowed it, not them. Right? But let's say they thought that the animal was their father's, and it was not. It was really borrowed. But they thought it was their father's, and they shechted it and they ate it. They pay the price. They have to pay it back because they made a mistake. But they pay, cheap. They pay the amount of cheap, not filet mignon prices. They pay chop meat prices.
Uruguay
or whatever, right? So Mashama de may basa result. But let's say the father left achrayas nechasim, meaning the father also left them real estate. He didn't just leave them this borrowed cow. Then chayav and the shalim, then they're chayav to pay back. Now, what does this mean? Machlokes, what this last line is going on. Some learn this last line is going on the first part. Some say it's going on the second part. The one that says it's going on the reisha, that on the part where that they're not chayav to pay it back if something happens to it, right? But they would be chayiv to pay it back if their father left them other money. So then kol shekain, that would be going on the sefer, where they shechted it, thinking that it was their father's. Upliga the Rapapa, and that would disagree with Rapapa, right? Because Rapapa held that it's that your patur, because that the achrayas happens on the same time that he shechts it, right? But Oman the Masila Sefer, the one that learns it on the Sefer, Avala Reisha Loi, but it's not going on the Reisha. Behind the Rapapa, and that's like Rapapa. So, meaning Rapapa would say that if the cow died by itself and the Yarshim, they don't have to pay anything because their father left them nechasim, right? Meaning, for when a shayel has to pay, it has to happen at the meaning shayel becomes achroi right when the einus happens, right? But here the father was no longer alive, so Rapapa is going to say it's not a problem. Again, Rapapa's schita was that he only becomes responsible not at this time of the loan. The responsibility kicks in at the time that the einus happened. Fine. Now the Gemara goes back. So far we have it's a Machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan had said way back 2 blot ago. No, yeah, there was 2 blot ago. Lamed Beis. It's meaning Rabbi Yochanan had said that somebody does a lav that he's chayav malchus and money. He gets malchus and he doesn't have to pay. Right? So how come in our Mishnah they do have to pay? Because he said there was no hasra. Right? And Reish Lakish says is that it's going according to Rav Meir, who holds you can give both punishments. So how come each one doesn't want to say like the other one? So Reish Lakish, the kamaykim like Rabanan, because he's saying it like the Rabanan. Ela Reish Lakish, my time Rabbi Yochanan. Why does Reish Lakish not say it like Rabbi Yochanan? Meaning again, Rabbi Yochanan doesn't want to say Rabbi Lakish because you always go with the majority opinion. You don't want to say it like Rabbi Meir. But Reish Lakish, how come he's going with Rabbi Meir? Right? Amarlach, even the ilu assur be patur. Since if they would have given hasra, you'd say that he's patur. Right? The only reason why you're saying going to Rabbi Yochanan that the guy that he's not getting malchus and he's only paying is because he didn't have asra. But if he would have had asra, he's patur. So kilay assur be nami patur. So then even if you didn't give asra, you're also patur. And they're both going according to the reasons. If somebody is chayiv misa, but he's a shoygig, so he's patur. And he's chayiv malchus, but he's a shoygig, so he's patur. But he's also chayiv to pay. Right? Again, he was either chayiv misa, but it was a shoygig, or chayiv malchus, he was a shoygig. And something else. Rabbi Yochanan Amar chayiv, he's chayiv. Reish Lakish Amar patur, is patur. Rabbi Yochanan Amar chayiv, the whole assur be, because he didn't get asra. Reish Lakish Amar patur. Reish Lakish says patur, given the ilu assur be patur, since if he did asra, he was be patur. Kilay assur be nami patur. So when he didn't do asra, he's also patur. Fine. So that's basically Rabbi Reish Lakish holds that since theoretically you would get asra, then he would be chayav malchus. So therefore, when he doesn't get asra, that's not enough. So now let's just do 2 more lines. It says right? We're talking about when the 2 men are fighting and they end up hitting the pregnant woman, right? And she didn't die. So it says if there was no death, anish yanish. So he gets a punishment, he has to pay. What does that mean on top of Aleph? My love asan mamish. Doesn't that mean that it's talking about there was no actual death? Mashma, that if there was an actual death, right, then there'd be no punishment, even without hasra, right? So that's a kasher of Yochanan. So he says, loy din asan. It doesn't mean that the lady didn't die. It means that there was no din on the guy that hit to die because there was no hasra, right? Meaning the way Reish Lakish is learning the pasuk asan means that the lady didn't die, and the way Rabbi Yochanan is learning the pasuk is no. It's not that the lady didn't die. It's the guy that hit the other guy. He didn't die. And he can't be dead because he can't be killed because he didn't have hasra. And then some say it's the opposite. Rabbi Yochanan asking Reish Lakish. My love din asan. Is it not the din of Asan, right? That it's the guy that hit him that didn't have Hasra. So you say no, and therefore, and he didn't have Hasra. So it's mashma that if there would have been Hasra, then it would be he paid. So we say loy Asan mamash. It means no, that the lady herself didn't die. The lady herself didn't die, so therefore there's no punishment. Okay, it's a little bit of a hard daf. Yeah. Okay.
Yaakov.
Yeah.
Very few people on the daf knew him, but Mr. Cohen, Oliver Sholem, Avi's father, shot dead a ganif in his house on Wheatley Place. He had a licensed gun, and somebody came into his house, and Mr. Cohen put him away.
I remember that. Did he die?
Yeah, the guy died on the spot.
Taka?
Yeah.
Wow. That's the way it should be.
Can't do that. You can't do that anymore.
Why not?
You can. You just have to know the laws.
There's too many. What's it called? Even if they come into your house, you can get. They have to come in with armed to hurt you.
When you also became an attorney.
What do you think?
You also became an attorney in your spare time. You became an attorney. That's pretty good.
You should turn the recording off.
My parents used to have every year an annual sit-up
Only approximately, right?
for the time when a rabbi came